Hi! I'd like to welcome you to the First Issue Club, the weekly comic book podcast where, just like Sue Storm, we love a good read. This week is a week just like any other. Tons of awesome comic books and comic book related things are unveiled to us. We've got a Marvel movie. Marvel's back! Huge headline! Yo, Marvel returned! You all made fun of it and said it was dead. Kevin Feige walking up in this, bopping his shoulders up and down, walking all big, saying, I'm a big, fancy, successful man again. People
I
care
bet Kevin
about my
had a little pep in his step this week for sure. Was sitting at 90% on Rotten Tomatoes. I bet he walked around like he was king of the world.
I can't wait to see it. As of this recording, it's Thursday night, so we haven't had a chance to get to our theaters and watch this yet. But I'm very interested to see. I mean, obviously, just like another Marvel movie, people are pumped about, and is probably going to be one of the more like successful talked about ones in a minute, which is just fun to be part of the conversation, but also to kind of pick up on what made it successful and what sort of thing, and how does that inform some of the things that we might see in other MCU movies if they've kind of like found it again. I know part of that was just like making the addicts wait for their next hit. That the MCU was getting a little diluted for us. We weren't getting our same high anymore because of all
They
the
were
TV,
cutting it.
all the TV shows and movies were like so close together. But so maybe just time is a part of it, and who knows? Maybe there's just like some fun life or a little less of the formula that started to become apparent over time with the MCU. However, I have not gotten us out of this intro yet and gotten to our names. So I am Mike D.
I'm Greg.
And I am Vargas.
We got Greg mid slug of a
Mid-swig.
yeah.
What are you swigging, Greg?
Speaking of swigging,
Yeah.
Space Camper Cosmic IPA is the beer that lovingly brings you First Issue Club each and every week. It is from Boulevard Brewing Company. If you can't find Space Camper at your local liquor store, go on boulevard.com. I don't know if it's boulevard.com. It's probably boulevardbrewing.com. Boulevard.com is probably a very expensive domain name. Yeah, enter it at your own
We
risk.
probably should have checked that before we told people to go places.
Google Boulevard Brewery, you'll find it. Say that you're 21. If you are, and they've got a good beer finder tool that'll show you the places in your zip code that carry Boulevard. And if they don't, write Boulevard. See if you can get yourself a distributor out there who will bring you Space Camper IPA, the tastiest IPA in the damn galaxy.
And I will confirm, it is boulevard.com. And you can go to Boulevard Finder and find Space
Dang.
Camper in a general store near you.
I guarantee you that's a $80,000 domain name at minimum.
We should ask our representative from Boulevard how
much do you think
much
they
that
paid for the
domain name
domain?
costs and then offer to buy it.
I bet like 80 grand. Imagine getting Avenue or Street.com. Oh, Street.com, probably $1 million.
Totally. Didn't you look up our domain name once?
I'm going off. Yeah, there's like a domain value thing. And ours was higher than I expected.
You looked
and
it
it's
up, and it was like in the thousands, and I was just like, oof, maybe we should sell it.
Street.com is a parked domain right now.
Oh, that's funny.
Someone's
It's
waiting.
a street you can park on. I think we built up enough domain authority as such a specific thing that we like fooled the algorithm into thinking that our domain was desirable. Here's who would buy firstissueclub.com. A competing podcast that wants to send people trying to find us to them. And if
Yeah.
if you can't do that, then there's zero value to firstissueclub.com. But we got it anyway. Good on us. I think it cost us pretty $20.
A shiny $20.
One shiny $20. I sent him 10 $2 bills in the mail. GoDaddy sent them back
Freshly
immediately
laminated.
and said, "What the hell am I supposed to do with this?" Sign up for a credit card. Okay. We're First Issue Club. We're going to talk about a little comic book news potentially, and then get into the first issues we read this week. If you don't know, first issue is the beginning of a new story in comic books, a jumping on point, if you will, into a new adventure every week. There's new genre-bending entries into the First Issue Club, and hopefully you'll find one here that we're going to talk about that'll razzle and dazzle you. But first, gentlemen, is there any news top of mind that you want to get off your chest?
Is there news?
Well, I will say the most pressing news is, if you don't know already, we do a live streaming show once a month, and we just got done doing it. You can find it over on our YouTube, wherein we talked about a lot of interesting things that are happening right now in the comic book community. A revival trailer dropped for this new sci-fi show coming out based on the Tim Seeley comic book from Image Comics that we dissected and discussed. I know that Andy and I are knee-deep in Diamond distributing talk, because it is just as much as a shit show as it was last week as it is today. And the interesting wrinkle here is that it's been settled for right now, right, Andy, that the second place bidder is now the confirmed purchaser of Diamond Publishing.
That is correct.
So I know that doesn't make sense logically. The first place winner should be the one that owns it. But Diamond pulled I gotcha. They pulled we had our fingers crossed and sold it to second place instead.
Well, yeah, that's part of the lawsuit, though, that the initial winner is bringing against Diamond, is that they weren't negotiating in good faith and always wanted to be sold to that second place winner that now is purchasing them. So
Can I just say, I still can't believe how much we and other comic book places are still talking about this. Like,
Yeah.
I can't get myself to care at this point.
It's kind of like seeing
Like, start
your
5
ex
more
get dragged.
lawsuits.
You're like, oh, I could talk about this all fucking day. Like,
I guess
yes.
in a way, yeah, right. We did have a big relationship with Diamond as serial comic buyers for a while.
It's just a matter of just seeing them like get their
Diamond
comeuppance.
always showing up late to parties.
Yeah, never wanted to meet my parents. Like, only texting you at like 2 a.m. smelling like somebody else's cologne. It's like it's messy. It's like watching the Kardashians. You're like, oh yes, like make it more gross. Make Diamond like actually selling like counterfeit body parts or something. Like, what other weird thing are we gonna discover when we lift over these stones? End rant. I don't want to hit too much dead air. End rant.
We just weren't sure if you were going to go off more.
No, I've gone off, King.
Okay, can I talk to you guys about this? We haven't talked about this Wolverine #8 Daniel Warren Johnson cover.
Holy shit!
Oh,
People
yeah.
are going nuts for it.
Yeah, people are going nuts for it. So it's the 9.8s have been selling around $140, which is
Isn't bad.
You don't think that's bad? It's a brand new variant cover.
Yeah, if you're a Daniel Warren Johnson fan and you can get a 9.8 for $140, that's actually in like a very popular specking book for $140. I would be elated.
Man, bonkers take. I thought we were going to say, whoa, too crazy.
If it was 150, I would say that's crazy, but 140.
Another $10 is your threshold, somewhere in the 40s.
Yeah.
And you're just full stop. I just can't bring myself to do it. 140, steal.
I also have a thing against odd numbers. It's just a thing I can't rationalize with.
Yeah. But I think there's a distinct phenomenon about this cover where, like, nothing, to my knowledge anyway, has happened in this comic that's like different. Excuse me, than like any other week where we're introducing like a new villain or a couple like B characters.
Oh, I thought it was like a first appearance.
It is a bit of like sentient adamantium or something. Like,
Okay.
I don't know. That just sounds like weird thing of the week to me.
Mm-hmm. I think it just looks good.
So
the cover looks amazing.
That's what I wanted to bring up. How often now? I think there's a lot of times over the past several years where we've had a cover that the perception is that this is going to be one of those new eternal classics that like people just know this cover. Like, you know, the like Batman Todd McFarlane with the big cape wrapped around and
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, a number of other Todd McFarlane covers. I'm spacing on like super iconic covers.
Mikey thinks that Todd McFarlane is the iconic cover maker.
He's the
He
iconic cover guy. Crouching Spider-Man at all.
Hidden Dragon.
But does this book, what are this book's chances? Yeah, Vargas is showing it on camera. What are this book's chances of staying or becoming a classic cover, do you think? Like, it's very hard for a modern book to become a classic cover or stay relevant or stay around $140 for more than like a handful of months. The last one I can think of that was just like such a big phenomena was the Webhead Patrick Gleason Spider-Man cover that was like Spider-Man's face or silhouette made out of like spider's web.
So
and that one's kind of stuck.
I'll tell you, I don't think that this is going to end up being the next thing that's spoofed all over because it's not an A cover.
Yeah,
if
right.
This
it's
was
a variant.
If this was an A cover and everybody could get their hands on it, maybe.
Yeah.
I mean, because it looks like a John Wick movie poster or whatever.
It's kind of Frank Miller-esque too.
Yeah.
It's like black and white and very like gritty.
But you know, it's a ratio too, right? Like a 1 in 25 or something.
I can't remember if it was a ratio or not. That would explain the $140. If it
it's
was.
1 in 25, yeah, and it's a second print.
Yeah.
Nope, I'm looking at something else. It's a 1 in 25 though.
So I think it's going to be one of those flash in the pan things. I mean, it'll hold value because it's a DWJ cover, you know, and it's a 1 in 25, but we're not going to be seeing like
the Virgin second print is a 1 in 25.
There you go.
I think it's a thing of like, if you're a Daniel Warren Johnson fan, if you're a Wolverine fan, and if you're a fan of like Samurai Media, this is like a great cover that will retain its value with that audience.
Yeah, totally.
And it is a beautifully drawn cover. Like, it's just Wolverine standing there in his samurai regalia, just littered with arrows. And like his face is covered in shadow and he has his giant unkempt mane behind him. Like, it is a gorgeous cover. It'll be a cult classic. I'll say that. It won't be one of those things where you're just like, you'll see it on like websites or like, you know how like people use like that to bring it back to Seth MacFarlane or Todd McFarlane. It always comes back to Family Guy with me. If you bring back like Todd McFarlane's like Spider-Man, that's like the default image people see when they think about comic books nowadays, right? Like, when you mention comic books, somewhere in your cerebellum, it's just like a Todd McFarlane Spider-Man image flashes. I don't think that cover will be this, but it will be like a cult classic amongst collectors of just like, holy shit, like, did you see that they have the DWJ Wolverine cover over there for like $50? And like your buddy will be like, you need to buy that for $50. Go buy it now.
Okay, do we think this will be the more popular Wolverine number 8 cover? Because
No.
the
The other
original
one, yeah.
is Wolverine and Hulk in suits, like leaning on each other. Like that's an iconic cover.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It does not. It will never transcend that one. Is Andy's prediction?
No
right?
way. No
Yeah.
way. Because again, that was an A cover, and you can spoof that, and everybody knows what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
I mean, when you say spoof, Andy, I know what you mean. Unless Daniel does like other.
Oh, Greg knows what spoofing is. We've been thinking about when to tell you, but gosh, I'm glad it's just out there.
I'm saving you the time. Yeah, I did a little reading this week, and I learned
okay.
some pretty fun words.
Finally.
But if Daniel Warren Johnson does like a series of these variant covers with like different characters set in this motif, I think then it becomes even more collectible. That it's just like the black and white variant from Daniel Warren Johnson, like part of that series.
Do you remember the Ian Bertram knee up series?
No.
No, you don't? Oh, he did a series of variant covers that were just like big, beefy characters, and they all have their kind of like foot up on a pedestal with their knee raised and are looking like straight to, I'll put in quotes, camera. They're looking straight at the artist or reader. There's a handful of them, and they're so rad. There's a Hulk one. There's a Absolute Batman one. If you look up Absolute Batman Ian Bertram, it'll probably.
I'm looking up right now.
You'll probably pop up and see that one. Oh, we can't move on until Greg sees this cover.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know, man. I think like I just don't think it'll become. There's just something with like variant covers don't become like those classics.
Iconic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know,
just because they're less known. They're hard.
Yeah.
Like you mentioned, harder to get your hands on, less associated with the important things that happen in comics.
Yeah. Like you think about like, you know, the like Department of Truth, right? Kind of has an iconic cover, and it had a million variant covers, but
yeah,
that's
those
the
are one
cool.
I'm talking about. Yeah.
Nice.
He has several just different characters in the same position. So rad. Ian Bertram's one of my favorite modern artists right now.
Yeah, they're amazing. Looks awesome.
Oh, speaking of other favorite modern artists, Andy tipped us off that Sweeney Boo was taking commissions, and as soon as he sent that over, I hopped in my old Gmail machine. I fired off an email thinking I wouldn't get one because it had been a couple hours, but she emailed me back, and we exchanged a couple pleasantries while we talked about what I wanted and all the stuff, and I'm getting Riverdale's own Betty Cooper hanging out with a standard poodle, getting a little bit of a Louie in there. The whole first issue club mascot. So
that's awesome, Mike D.
I'm pretty stoked for that. She's one of my favorite artists, and I've been following her since before she started doing covers and things. She used to just draw like witches and rad shit on Instagram, and I used to follow
I remember that.
her.
Yeah.
Yep. So kind of like someone I've been with as a fan for a long time and has gotten really popular. So
I'm honestly glad one of us did that, because I was restraining myself so bad from just being like, oh, fuck, I want one.
Well, they were so cheap.
Yeah, I won't say how much they were. I mean, I guess you could just go look if you want to know that bad, but I think they were really fair considering how popular of an artist she is, or at least how I perceive her to be.
Well, that's what I didn't get. Was like she's like the cover artist, or
Harley Quinn.
for Harley Quinn. Like,
Yeah. Well, and Catwoman too.
Yeah. And didn't she do interiors for Harley Quinn for a while too?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
It's insanity.
Did a lot of rad Sabrina the Teenage Witch covers
Yeah.
and had a bunch of Captain Marvel stuff. Very cool.
Yeah. That'll look great, I'm sure, Mike D.
Can't wait.
Can't wait to rip it up right in front of you.
I got the IDW previews catalog,
What?
and
You got your hands on one?
Does IDW make enough comics to validate a catalog?
It's for the next 5 years.
That's what I was gonna say. What are you showing me? Because you're too small for me, Andy.
Is it
it's
a
their
page?
it's their checklist for July through August, basically, is on the back of here. So this is the stuff they're soliciting in May for the months. Yeah, for pre-order.
Thus the previews.
The previews.
Sneak peek, if you will.
So
that was the first run at the name of that magazine. Sneak peek.
If you're actually asking, Mike D, the stuff that's in here is basically boils down to Godzilla, Ninja Turtles, Star Trek. They do have a solicitation for Exorcism at 1600 pen.
Ooh.
That trade.
Mm-hmm.
An Omni of Joe Hill's The Cape.
Okay.
And then there's their kids stuff. Monster High, Sonic the Hedgehog, My Little Pony. And then they also print all of these artist editions, so they always solicit those in the back.
That's right.
But that's like it. It's all
IDW.
IP stuff.
Can I make a request? More original creator-owned content on your ding-dang publisher.
Well,
1600 pen is so cool. It's the coolest IDW book right now.
You might. Well, right now, sure, I'll allow it. The reason I wanted to talk about it was number one, With a Bullet, Beneath the Trees
coming back.
Sequel. Definitely going to be the book of the summer by Patrick Horvath. Getting what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different variant covers. Scotty Young's doing one for this, so that's going to be a huge, I'm sure, pop-off book. And his is only
be retailer exclusives too.
Yeah, probably. His is Scotty Young covers only a 1 in 10, so you can probably get your hands on that.
Accessible.
Yep. But the other thing that I actually really wanted to talk about is they're soliciting all the new Godzilla stuff that I talked about a while back. They've named it the Kaisei era, and this is all like Toho official Godzilla stuff. So this is like modern day Godzilla. Tim Seeley is writing, which is awesome. But again, the wrinkles here, the thing that is the coolest to me, they're soliciting Godzilla Escape the Dead Zone, which is the book that features the...
Yeah, because he's on Boost Mobile and he can't make a call.
It's the book that features the human kaiju hybrid. And it sounds like it's kind of like Geiger, where he's like, running around inside of like a no man's land, and he's the only hybrid that might be able to kill Godzilla, who's, running across the land. I think it's going to be awesome. You guys are looking at me like I'm a crazy person.
Has anyone in the history of Godzilla media just tried to talk to him?
Godzilla media. Godzilla TV. 24 hours of Godzilla content.
Trust me, it exists.
Does it?
Has anyone tried just explaining to God, like, hey, bud,
Big G,
we're sorry. What's going on? We always choose bombs first instead of words.
So true.
And that's really what the message is of all these Godzilla movies.
And Godzilla says, "We do what I want. Kasaya, say so." Throwback to when Andy said it's Godzilla Kasaya.
Kaisei era.
Oh, Mike D.
Kasei
A
era.
classic goof 'em up from Mike D. Andy, yes, I am actually very excited for this Godzilla stuff. A representative from, and this is not a bit, the Toho Media Company and IDW has emailed us and given us exclusive PDFs and stuff to look at and to talk about. So I will forward those on to you, Andy, and we can make a Summer of Godzilla event here on First Issue Club so we can talk about it. Because frankly, I'm tired of not getting included on publisher emails anymore. This is fucking ridiculous.
Does it have our a watermark of that says First Issue Club so they'll know if we spoil first Godzilla for everybody?
Well, here's the cool thing. It just says Andy Vargas all over it, so we can spoil it, and Andy will get in trouble.
Yeah.
Dope.
I'm going to leak it over Reddit here pretty soon, so it's going to be pretty wild.
The last thing I want to say about the IDW previews is this one specifically has a big poster in the middle for the Beneath the Trees book with the Tony Fleecs.
I'm going to put that in my clubhouse.
It's the Tony Fleecs variant that's spoofing American Psycho. So if anybody out there wants to get their hands on it,
Another one of these spoofs.
It's worth picking up because it's free.
That Tony Fleecs, one of my favorite artists. His spoofs have now bled into other comic books. Yes. He did so many Stray Dog spoofs. He's just like, I've got too many spoofs to spare. Where else can I go? And Patrick said, come here. Come on over.
I'm rich in spoof ideas.
Guys, I am flush with spoof ideas. I need to get these out or they're going to spoil.
So he'll be sitting on a rocking chair one day, and I'll be walking by, and I'll say, "Oh, hey there, old timer, nickel for your spoof?" And he'll say, "Of course. I remember when I would do spoofs, and they would make me thousands upon thousands of dollars. Of course, $1,000 is nothing anymore in 2070."
Wow,
that's how that conversation would kind of play out.
I think Patrick.
You think we're both going to make it to 2070?
2070. That's fucking impressive.
Is it? Wait, what? How old will I be in 2070?
Oof, don't make yourself sad.
I'll be in my 80s.
Well, your body will be.
Your mind will
be in its 70s.
Your mind will be in the cloud.
Yeah, we'll be uploaded to the cloud. We'll be all a part of Google by then.
Hell yeah.
I'll always be mentally 25.
I think we've pushed off talking about comic books long enough. For those listeners still with us, thank you.
Get into it, boys. Tell me.
Yeah, I can go first.
Do it.
This week, I read actually some pretty phenomenal books. I read Lost Fantasy out by Kurt Pyers and Luca Casalanguida. I'm so sorry that I mispronounced that last name. I'm dumb. So Lost Fantasy was a book that I've been tracking for a while because I'm a huge Kurt Pyers fan from like Indigo Children and so many other great books. And this book is kind of like there is a two world situation happening here. There's the world that we live, and then there is like a place called like the world below, if you will, like a realm within our world, like a hidden world that there's like a bridge crossover that is capable. Think of it like a Hollow Earth kind of thing. Like there's like a fantastical world within our world, and there's like a political higher power thing of like keeping those worlds separate with a lot of like secret political contracts signed of just like, okay, we know that you're helping us keep your demons in your world. So like we'll give you money to like make money and resources to make sure that you can continue to do that.
This isn't just hell.
No, Mike.
Sounds a lot like
hell is not an earthly destination, man.
Sounds a lot like they kind of ripped off hell, if you ask me.
They spoofed the idea of hell for this book.
Someone spoofed hell.
They're ripping off Christianity.
God, the ultimate spoof. In any case, there is like this.
I think this guy I know, King James, wrote about this once.
It was a fine book.
Great courtesy laugh. Thanks, Greg.
Yeah, that's just hedging my bets. So when I do leave this mortal coil and I'm asked some pretty tough questions, I can be like, "Hey, I was just appeasing him.
The laugh was just sarcastic.
Yeah, I wasn't agreeing with him, Your Honor."
Kind of a spoof, if you will. We're talking about my laugh
as I'm being like thrown off of a cloud, if you will, if you can imagine me on a cloud.
Right? Yeah.
Anyway, there's like this like story of these like champions of the fantasy realm that have like saved Earth countless times, that have like split off and started their own schools on Earth to like train more champions to like keep protecting Earth and fighting these creatures. And so that aspect is like really fascinating to me, of like 5 specific houses, each with their own styles and pedigrees of magic and fighting styles. And I'm sure that book will get to that eventually, but right now we're just introduced to one particular character and the adopted son that he found in the woods, and them like they're like the family that has the school in America, so they're like kind of like the protectors of that region, and they have to hunt down a new enemy that has broken past the protected barrier into our realm. So that was the big hook at the end of, how do these things get out? A character that we have been introduced to dies, but it's funny because this character is also narrating the book. So we know that there's a little twist yet to happen to explain that. So it was a really fantastic first issue. The hype was definitely well earned in my eyes of this book. A lot of people are going to like this book because the main character runs around with like a giant Final Fantasy VII sword, and like that makes for just great imagery in a comic book. I mean, we saw it with Absolute Wonder Woman. Like the bigger the sword, the better.
So that's what I wanted to show about this book, is the B cover is just a straight up homage to the Final Fantasy VII.
Like Andy, we call those spoofs around here.
Oh yeah, it's a spoof.
It's a spoof.
Damn bit.
Stick with the bit, man.
I want to talk about all these people always finding sons in the woods, and I can't find one.
I keep finding daughters.
Yeah, I keep finding
where are they planting the sons?
Where are they putting these wood sons?
Yeah, and like so, like the wood son, if you will, if we're gonna call him that. He has like this old magic feel to him, as it's described. So you can tell that this particular character has like an attachment to like the old magic that used to be. So they're going to play a much larger role in the story. So I think it's going to be a lot of fun. Kurt is very good at world building and getting people engaged with his particular style of storytelling. I particularly like that there's like 5 different specialized schools for magic and stuff. I'm just like, oh, that scratches an itch for me of just like, yes, I'll get to learn more about these different kinds of schools in their curriculum.
Curriculum. Greg wants to do the homework.
I want to see a syllabus. That's for goddamn sure.
Yeah, it sounds fun.
Yeah, that was a real highlight for me. But really, my book of the week
Oh,
Come-
hit me with the title of that last one more time.
Lost Fantasy.
Lost Fantasy. Okay.
My
Thank
book
you.
of the week comes from Mad Cave called The Slasher's Apprentice. It's
I'm so
by
excited
Justin
about this.
Richards and Val Halverson. Blah, blah, blah. Yep. Sorry. I misread something. So this book follows a young woman who is a host of a podcast, like a murder mystery serial killer podcast. And you slowly see her just like talk about unsolved serial killer cases. There's an opening scene where she's like describing a serial killer attack for her show, and you get to see that scene play out like in real life as she's like describing it. We find out that she's actually describing her family, that she was like a part of that serial killer attack because she was like hiding in the closet, so the serial killer didn't get her because he didn't like do a second check of the house or whatever to make sure there weren't any survivors.
Always check the closets.
You
if you're,
always check the closets for
gonna-
kids.
Gonna
Ugh.
serial kill.
We have about 5 friends who are serial killers, and that's like the number one rule. It's
Yeah,
like
right.
when
They're
you kill
always
the
telling us.
parents, check the closets for kids. Ugh.
They're gonna come back for revenge at
How
some
many
point
times?
if you don't.
Oh, but Mike D, no, nay, not this comic book. Revenge is not what she seeks. As we continue on, this woman is actually trying to hunt down this particular serial killer, not because she wants to seek revenge. She wants to become this person's apprentice and become a serial killer herself.
Aha.
What a twist!
What a twist!
And it's just really engaging. Like, it seems so simple of a story, and it's plainly in the name of the comic book, that I'm surprised it hasn't happened before. Right? It's like such a simple idea. You just think this has been done, hasn't it? And you look at it, you're like, holy fuck, no one has done this idea yet.
It reminds me of, there's this movie called Behind the Mask, and it's like a similar thing, but it's a documentary crew that goes to follow this guy who is like an up and coming, like Jason or Freddy or Mike Myers.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah. But this sounds like a more like personal story, which is way more interesting.
Yeah,
It was
what's the
really
tone?
cool.
Like,
And like you see a lot of scenes of like this serial killer, like obviously killing in a serial fashion. But what I really loved about this book, aside from the story was great. The design of this particular serial killer fucking rips, because he's like in this like giant trench coat with like big long butcher gloves and like giant like rain boots, and he wears like a lion mask, like a full on like costume that like it looks like it's like ripped right out of like Babar, and it is so sick looking. Like the particular design of that like really struck me as just an amazing design. And I mean, that's not the only reason I'm sticking on with this book, but it is a pretty big reason why I am, because I just want to see what the rest of that character like and what their interactions are going to be, and like the homework that this killer is going to give this woman to become a serial killer or whatever. It's just such a unique and just fascinating idea for a book.
I could see this being, if someone just explained the core concept of this to me, I could see it being a comedy. I could see it being like a kind of thriller. I could see it being like trash horror, like in a good way.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what's the tone of this?
So it's not humorous, like slapping your knee funny, but it's not overly graphic either. And I know I'm trying not to like not answer your question directly, but it toes the line of a B horror movie. It's very
Yeah.
campy, but it is also very graphic with its imagery.
Okay.
If that helps in any way.
I accept this answer.
Thank you for accepting that answer.
Yep. You're
I'm trying to find a
welcome.
picture of the suit. Anyway, Andy, please continue with
Okay.
your selections.
I really read one this week, but it was a big one for me. Red Sonja versus Army of Darkness, and I got the Sears cover. It's my first Mark Sears cover, which is very exciting.
From
Very proud of you.
Dynamo.
Yes, he's kind of the guy of the moment. Um, a very cool book. So Tim Seeley's writing this, and you can tell my man loves Army of Darkness as much as I do. He picks up where the original movie ends, and Ash is bummed out because his lady love Sheila is dead or trapped in the past without him. So he endeavors to go back and relive his glory days. He breaks into a library, flips through a history book, and discovers that Red Sonja has killed all of his friends from the past. So he gets drunk and pulls out the Necronomicon, travels back in time, and tries to stop Red Sonja from killing all of his friends in the past.
Okay.
I tell you what, there's a ton of very fun Red Sonja comic books. And you would think, I say this a lot about Dynamite Comics, you would think by looking at a lot of the covers that they are not worth buying unless you're a ding-dang perv.
Yeah.
Not the case. Not that there's anything wrong with being a perv.
I mean, to a
Sometimes-
degree.
Sometimes I put my perv hat on and
Sometimes I get my perv on.
I've been known to
you
perv about.
Respectfully. I respectfully get my perv on
But yeah,
within the limits of the law.
I think people glaze over these comics a lot, and I don't know. This sounds like a fun idea, and I think a lot of Red Sonja stuff also kind of reads at the same temperature. It sounds like this comic might read,
Yeah.
and yeah, I think people are doing themselves a disservice not reading Red Sonja. In my opinion, it's something I like to revisit from time to time.
Well,
Jump in and out of arcs.
and honestly, crossing Red Sonja with Ash is like, I mean, talk about chocolate and peanut butter. You know, you get the toxic masculinity, slapstick humor of Ash Williams with
Yep.
the clear feminist vibes that Red Sonja gives off, and it just,
Mhm.
you know, seeing the two of them together is just so good. It's a really fun book. You know, again, Tim Seeley's writing, so you can't go wrong. It's a fun book. If you're an Army of Darkness fan, if you're a Red Sonja fan, check it out.
Love.
Does it require, and this is probably a stupid question, a lot of Evil Dead knowledge to enjoy this book?
None. It gives you all the backstory you need,
Okay.
which is another, you know, mark of a good writer. But
Greg's never seen Evil Dead.
I've seen the first one.
You haven't seen the second one? The second one's the one to see, right?
second one's kind of the one to see.
Yeah.
Oh, well, pardon me.
It's all right. We'll watch it sometime.
Yeah.
Whoa, that's the killer.
Yeah. So, yeah, for the people who are watching on YouTube, I'm showing the picture of the serial killer from the Slasher's Apprentice.
Yeah, that's
He's
a
got a
creepy.
Fireplace poker.
Yep.
Or a very short harpoon
Yeah, world's shortest harpoon with a handle.
Short boom.
with a handle.
Nice little handle. And this
Yeah.
guy's bad at aiming his kisses.
Oh, he's already been stabbed. Oh, wait, no, he hasn't. Yeah. No. This is the scene where, like, they're in a cabin and they're doing the cliche. A bunch of the people in the cabin who are teenagers are doing, like, the cliche thing of, like, separating or doing drugs. And these two people are going to partake in
Perv out,
premarital sex.
just like we were talking about.
Yep.
Hell
Get
yeah.
their perv on.
They're perving.
Couple Red Sonja readers here.
And
Meeting up.
this scene is like the guy's like, I brought protection, and the girl's like, I'm not that kind of girl. I only do hand stuff. And then that guy shows up from the closet
To do
fire
hand
poker.
stuff.
He's like, I'm Father McGilligan, and I will not have any of this fire poke.
That's great. That is a great character design.
You're right.
So-
it just looks so cool.
Is this a big horror movie through line that a lot of horror villains hate people boning? 'Cause
No,
it seems
it's not
seems
about
like-
that. It's just
It's just, they don't like people having fun.
no. It's a vulnerable position to put two hot, sexy lead actors in.
I'm always at high alert when I'm in coitus. Like, I fucking dare someone to attack me.
And if you really want to get into it, you could say that a horror movie is just a morality play, and anybody who engages in illicit, immoral acts is violating the
die.
rules of the story and deserves to die. That's exactly right.
yeah.
That's what I'm going to teach my kids. Do you want to stay alive? Don't have sex.
Jason's not the most sex positive guy.
He
True.
needs to be.
But
Loosen up,
in fairness,
serial killers.
I bet if
Jason's
he had
Jason's
one
sex negative for everyone.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
Mhm.
If he had one sex, I think he'd be a totally different person.
You just gotta have one. Write the spoof up.
Jesus.
Jason has sex. Where's that comic, Dynamite?
Jason Triple X.
oh, damn it. You spoke it into an existence. Fuck, now it has to happen. Ugh.
Is that a pod?
That's a pod, folks.
That's a pod, baby.
Thank you again for Boulevard for sponsoring the show. Head over to the patreon.com/First Issue Club if you want more First Issue Club. Check out our YouTubes and social medias. Mike D, take us out.
Bye, y'all. First Issue Club podcast is brought to you by Boulevard Brewing Company, the people responsible for our favorite drinks, the Space Camper Cosmic IPA family of beers. Our show is edited and produced by our hosts Mike DeStacy, Greg Lichtig, and Andy Vargas. You can find us on social media at First Issue Club, and you can join the supporters who keep our humble podcast going on our Patreon at patreon.com/First Issue Club.